Welcome to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show, a real estate investment program. Listen and learn how to use real estate to build wealth and passive income streams for you and your family. We bring you experts every day to discuss and answer your questions on everything from single-family homes all the way up to 600-plus unit apartment complexes. And now, the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome to the show. This is Andy Webb with Lifestyles Unlimited. And as always, we're working on your financial freedom. And I do want to give the website to learn more about our financial freedom program and the 2-day seminar. The first on day one, single family. That website is Give Me Total Freedom, all written together, givemetotalfreedom.com. Hey, and if you're new to the show, just a quick introduction. I've been investing in real estate for 10 years now. In fact, this is my anniversary with Lifestyles Unlimited, anniversary of the first house we bought. We actually became members at Lifestyles Unlimited 10 years ago this very month. So very, very good choice back then, a decade ago, on the part of my wife and I. Very thrilled that we went that direction. And I've had the opportunity to host this show for a couple of years now, and I am enjoying every minute with you. I thank you for listening, and I hope you continue to. I hope you also make the same choice we did back then, if you haven't already, to begin investing in real estate. Now, if you are new to the show, what is Lifestyles Unlimited? We are an education and mentoring group. And way back then, my wife and I joined because we knew nothing about real estate investing, that is. Actually, we were apartment renters at the time. And we'd heard the radio show, this very show, and said, this sounds great. Let's try it. We went to the free workshop, heard the message, okay, sounds better, reinforced what we'd heard, bits and pieces over the year and a half or so on the radio, and joined. And the rest is history. Now, I am a member out of Dallas-Fort Worth. That's my home base, and I usually broadcast from there, or maybe while out and about enjoying the lifestyle, the very lifestyle that we built. That's where the organization gets the name Lifestyles Unlimited, because it's not the money, it's the lifestyle. And we've enjoyed the lifestyle, and we're traveling a lot with my family and I in the RV bunker. And actually, I'm in Houston right now. As you listen to this, I'm in Houston, and I'll tell you why here just in a little bit. Actually, Lifestyles Unlimited originally was founded in Houston by Del Walmsley 30 plus years ago. So I was a little late to the party. I'm glad I did join. Now, if you have caught the show before, you probably expect me at this point to talk about the latest steps of the Federal Reserve. We just heard about those, or maybe even bigger in my mind and probably in yours, the latest inflation number. What was it, February? 7.9%. 7.9% year on year. That is another new 40-year high. We got a new 40-year high a month ago with the January number, 7.5%. Well, now we got another one, 7.9%. What's coming next? I don't know. I'm feeling it, and I know you are as well. I can tell you, when I pull that RV with a diesel-powered truck, it ain't pretty when I get to the pump. I like to get into the macro economic picture, because that can have an impact on real estate. Instead, a couple of things. First of all, I want to tell you about my 5-year-old, because I had a revelation recently, and well, I hate to say it, but some of you might very well be behaving just like my 5-year-old. We'll get to that. Don't take offense. Okay. And more importantly, and yes, this absolutely ties to inflation, actually, we're going to dive into the benefits of having real estate investments in your portfolio. There are very concrete benefits, and again, in face of that latest inflationary news, I want you to understand that, because these are the benefits that we understood from hearing the radio program way back when, and we learned more when we went to the free workshop, and we learned more when we went to the Financial Freedom Program seminar, the 2-day seminar, and we've continued to learn. But just having watched the evolution of my personal portfolio, we started with single-family investments. We are now invested in multifamily. I've seen how these benefits are truly realized, and I want you to come away from today's show understanding those, at least at an upper level. And if you want to dive in more, I've mentioned the free workshop a couple of times. Go to our website, lifestylesunlimited.com. There's a button there where you can register, and we're doing those virtually now online, so it's very easy, convenient. Do it from the comfort of your home. Have the spouse join you, have the older kids join you, because it's a very important message. Again, go to lifestylesunlimited.com for that. But if you think about it, and we'll get into the benefits, I do want you to understand how that single family rental, that was our first purchase, one house. But then we bought another and another and another. But how one single family rental house, or maybe one investment as a passive investor in an apartment community, how that could be helping you right now, again, as you watch that inflation tick ever higher, as it seems to be doing. Just think about it, adding an extra $500 to maybe $1,000 a month in passive income, monthly passive income, 500,000, maybe 2,000. Again, how can that help you in the face of 7.9% inflation? I'm sure it can. But let me start with my son, and we are fighting, we being my wife and I, we're fighting a running battle right now. You know, our nighttime ritual is to have a little milk, a little bedtime reading, try to get the kid, start that around 7, try to get him into bed by 8 and conked out with any luck. But it's become harder and harder, and we'll retire. We think he's down and out, and my wife and I will retire to the living room, maybe watch a TV program. More commonly, I'm reading a book. I'm a very avid reader, and I'll just get this sense, this feeling someone's looking at me, and I look up, and sure enough, at the corner of the room, there's that little 46-inch tall dude just staring there grinning. So I walk him back to his room. I put him down again. 20 minutes later, there he is. Do it again. 20 minutes later, there he is. I was talking with a friend about this the other day. They've got older kids now, and they said, "Yeah, we went through the same thing." They said, "Andy, your son has got FOMO." I said, "FOMO? I know I've heard that. I know I've seen that on the social media. FOMO, what is that?" FOMO, he's got it. And you, potential real estate investor, maybe you actually current real estate investor, probably have this at times as well. We'll define that when we come back and get into those benefits as well. So stick around.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Now, let's get back to your map to financial freedom.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Andy Webb, and today we're going to get into the benefits of investing in real estate, having maybe even just one single-family house in your portfolio. Ideally, you build that up and attain financial freedom and become real estate retired. But I think the bigger message right now in face of that inflation we're seeing and just a lot of insecurity and uncertainty is creating passive income that will add a little bit of extra money into your pocket. $500, maybe $1,000, $2,000, depends on how much of a portfolio you want to build. But there's a problem. You have a problem. Just like my 5-year-old has a problem. Well, his isn't so much a problem, it's my problem. And he's got the FOMO. And every night when we try to get him into bed, we think he's out. He closes those eyes. I guess I need to look for a grin, because I bet he's grinning as we sneak out of the room. Handful of minutes later, there he is. Pop back up. And he's got FOMO, the fear of missing out. A friend of mine elucidated me to this the other day. And I've seen this here and there on social media, I guess, as well. And the fear of missing out, I'm just going to define that for you. The acronym is FOMO, F-O-M-O. This is in Wikipedia. It's the feeling of apprehension that one is either not in the know or missing out on information, on events, that would be my son, on experiences, make it bigger, or life decisions that could make one's life better. It's associated, FOMO is associated with a fear of regret. I'll get to that maybe later too. Your concern is that you might miss an opportunity. Now here they talk about social interaction, a memorable event, or they say right here, a profitable investment. So you get the fear that you're going to miss this thing, whatever it is. And for my son, he thinks we're out there doing something exciting in the living room at 9 o'clock at night, at 10 o'clock at night, we're feeling a little beat down after the bedtime ritual, reading a book, trying to calm down, trying to relax. So he's not missing a lot, but he's got the FOMO, so he keeps coming around the corner. And a lot of you have that as well. And the problem with the FOMO is it eventually leads to indecision, because you're weighing, in economic terms, it's opportunity cost and the inability to decide for one option over the other. So FOMO leads to indecision and waiting, which leads to what? Inaction, which leads to what? The time has ticked away. 2 years later, you're still listening to the radio program, but haven't taken action because you're afraid to make a decision because what about this other option I have over here or over here? By the way, let me give you the website again, lifestylesunlimited.com. I mentioned the free workshop. You can catch this show or any of the other shows that I've done or any of my co-radio hosts have done over the years at our website, lifestylesunlimited.com. Click on the radio tab there. And of course, you can catch the Del Walmsley Radio Show podcast there as well. Del, again, is the founder of Lifestyles Unlimited. And let me tell you why I'm in Houston, by the way, because this may give you, I'm sorry, I hate to do this to you, might give you a little bit of the FOMO. Well, it's come up once again, our annual Wealth and Passive Income Expo. That's this year, right now, in Houston. And if you are not here, well, I bet you have the FOMO. Because you are, I hate to say it, there's no more fear involved. I'm confirming it for you right now. You are missing out. Big, big event. Thousands of investors. I'm going to weave a little bit of this event into our conversation today about the benefits of real estate investing. I see a lot of people here at the expo that are completely new. They've heard prior shows, said, I do want to go to that event. I do want to learn. And they're here learning, networking, becoming educated, figuring out what makes more sense for them, investing in a single family rental house or going in as a passive on a multifamily investment, an apartment syndication, or maybe even leading or being the syndicator on that investment. A lot of that type of education going on. And again, when you have 1,000 investors in one place, a ton. And this is probably the best part of the expo for me is just the networking is tremendous. But maybe you had the FOMO weeks and months ago when we talked about the expo. I know for us, it's spring break up in Dallas-Fort Worth. Maybe you had plans. I get that. Family plan, extremely important. That is what I very much value right now. I always have, but especially now that we have that 5-year-old guy that keeps popping up around the corner. Very much value that. So I understand. And a lot of times, if I think about this more in a broader social setting, and this is what I tend to see on social media, you take that FOMO, that fear of missing out, which leads to indecision, and don't commit to doing anything. I'm going to wait for the better or even the best opportunity, whether it's that social event, RSVP. People don't do that as much anymore because of the FOMO, because they're waiting for that next option that's probably better or maybe the best choice of them all. And you get to the end of the time frame involved, in this case, registering for and coming down to the expo. Well, that ship has sailed. So again, FOMO, fear of missing out, it leads to indecision, it leads to waiting and ultimately inaction, and that's a problem. It's also not unlike, I relate this in part to shiny object syndrome, which newer real estate investors will be afflicted by very strongly. Shiny object syndrome is, well, hey, I've decided I'm going to buy that rent house. I want to do a rental house. But wait a minute, I just heard about apartment investing. I want to do that. Ooh, short-term rentals. Airbnb. Wait a minute. Storage facilities. That's the one. Ooh, owner finance. Oh, notes. I want to be the bank. There's so many things you can do in the real estate sphere. If I narrow it down to that very concrete world, even within that sphere, you have to be careful because shiny object syndrome comes along and you're like my old golden retriever when I was growing up. That guy couldn't focus on anything. He could catch a ball. He brought it back. That's about all. He was just all over the place. And this is an affliction that some that are new to real estate investing get as well. How do you overcome that? How do you overcome that FOMO as well? Well, it comes to making a decision and committing to that decision. And I want to help you throughout the course of the show. We're going to move on from the FOMO here and talk about some investment options. I mentioned single family and I mentioned apartments. And if you're new to the program, boy, apartments, that might even sound exotic. I know when we started investing, when we first started the radio program, rather, I didn't even know that was something Andy Webb, just a dude working a job. I had no idea that was an option for me. Well, now we're in a number of multifamily investments. One is getting ready to cash out to sell. And if the numbers come in where we think, in the course of a year, a 100% return. That's doubling our money in 12 months. That's one of the benefits.
Now more intel from the files of Del Walmsley.
Focus on commitment to the project, whatever the project in hand is, getting in shape. Commit yourself to getting in shape. Focus on the commitment. Don't focus on getting motivated. Forget the motivational step. You don't need it. Commit to the results. As we work through the rest of this stuff, you'll see that commitment to the results is what's going to get you there. Because number two, I think, is an important tie-in with number one, and that is seek knowledge, not results. Now, what I found is that if you try to just get out there and do something, I told you this story 10, 20 times about me going out there and rebuilding this train layout 3 different times before I finally went to an expert, to a pro, and got all my questions answered, because I kept getting into it and running into something, a design flaw that was designed into the very plan. So you'd get to that design flaw, when you run up against it, you could go no further. You had to take it all apart and start over again. I did that 2 or 3 times. Finally, I realized what I need to do is I need to totally envision the entire project.
Stick around. We're going to head into a quick break and pick this up on the backside.
Listening to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show will change your life. We will teach you how to create wealth and passive income so you can be financially free. And now, back to your host.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Andy Webb, coming to you from Houston for a change. Normally I broadcast out of Dallas-Fort Worth, or maybe somewhere in this great nation of ours, traveling in the RV bunker with my family, but for now we're in Houston. And if you're catching me live, you probably have the FOMO. We talked about what the FOMO is. It's fear of missing out. You are missing out. If you're catching me live, that tells me you are not in Houston at the Wealth and Passive Income Expo. This is the place to be. If you want to become a real estate investor, whether single-family investing, rental houses, or apartments, this is the place to be. Thousands of investors that are doing this very thing, doing it well, to network with. The single-family and multifamily mentors are here. Great people to talk to. Del Walmsley, of course, founder of Lifestyles Unlimited. The whole team is here. And of course, countless 2 full days of breakout sessions on any topic you need to become that real estate investor. And I'll hit a couple of these as well, just to feed that FOMO. I'm sorry, I got to do it. But first, I'm presenting to you today the benefits of real estate investing, because I want you to take this away from the day to understand that while you watch the price of gas go through the roof, the price of diesel for me when I'm trying to pull that RV, food, anything in your life right now, when you're watching that skyrocket, you can take action and you can create some extra cash flow that'll help remedy that short circuit, that pain for you. Here's the problem. You grew up like I did. You grew up like I did on the conventional wisdom path. And what does that mean? That means going to school, getting good grades, getting that job, and among other things, contributing religiously to that 401k, or maybe the IRA. Maybe you have some stock accounts. Have you ever asked yourself, thinking of FOMO, fear of missing out, what are you missing out as you continue to put, fill in the blank, every paycheck into your 401k? Now with inflation where it is, you may have stopped the contributions. I know some people that have, to create a little extra cash flow. That's about the extent of your control when it comes to the 401k. That's the problem with the 401k. You really don't have the control. And in 2022, just a quick research online, this is not relevant to me anymore, fortunately, but the annual max that you can contribute this year, 2022, is $20,500 as an individual. If you're married, I guess it's higher. $20,000 and some change. I will tell you what, fear of missing out. What are you missing out if you're putting all that money into your 401k? I can go out and buy a house for that, or potentially get into an apartment investment. So that's what you're missing out on. Single family, or possibly investing multifamily. Okay, sure, Andy, we can create a little bit extra cash flow. Let's get into the benefits. And by the way, if you have any follow-up questions on this, if you have any recommendations for keeping my 5-year-old in bed, whatever, send me an email to askandy at luinc.com. Again, that's askandy at luinc.com. And these benefits, these are true benefits. And like I said in the opening segment, and if you missed any part of the show, go to lifestylesunlimited.com. The shows are archived there. We, over the decade that my wife and I have been investing, have really been able to appreciate these 5 benefits I'm going to get into. We've really seen how they materialize. And for me, I'm somebody that needs a proof case, and that would be our first single-family house, ultimately. Now, we kept buying very quickly after we got that first one, but watching how that one has progressed, I've really seen the value and seen the benefits. And we mentioned cash flow. Right now, in the face of this inflation, that's the big one for you. I can go out and buy a single-family house, fix it up, get it rented, and put a net cash flow, a net amount of cash in my pocket every month. On average in Texas, about $400. Now, actually, bear with me a second. Let me get my notes here. This is from an email I got the other day. This is out of the Houston market, one of the realty team down there. I work with the Lifestyles Unlimited realty team in finding my investments. Estimated cash flow per month, $583 on this particular one. I've seen 300, I've seen 400, I've seen obviously 500 or 600 in this case, and higher. So that's the cash flow I'm talking about when I'm thinking very concretely about one benefit in particular that would help you right now in the face of that inflation. It sounds a little counterintuitive, but you're asking me to put some money into this property, right? Yes. What are you doing when you do put money into your 401k? It's gone. You've given up control. You've given up flexibility. And now you're waiting and hoping that market appreciates. Oh, and I'll tell you this. I watch the markets. It's crazy the amount of volatility that we're seeing right now, the ups and the downs. And if you have my persona, you're probably watching it too. And if you have that 401k or an IRA or some other stock account, it's probably driving you crazy. That's some FOMO that I don't have. That's something that I don't miss, watching that volatility. So maybe rather than agreeing to just give that money to your employer's 401k, take that money, put that into a house, create your own cash flow. Because that's only one of the ways we make money. With that 401k, you're waiting for appreciation, which we've seen a lot of depreciation, haven't we? So you're going to create cash flow. That's one of the ways we make money. But the way we buy, and here I'm thinking about single-family houses, because that's my primary bread and butter, although I am invested in some apartment communities as well where we've seen this, and that's equity capture. For apartments, it depends on the type of investment you subscribe to, and I'll get into a little more detail later, but if I just take the house example, I may buy a house for $100K, put, let's say, $50K in renovations into it, and at the end of the day, because of the work that we did and the fact that we bought this at a discount, the value on the back end may be around $200, not uncommon in today's market. Well, there's a $50K spread in there, net out the closing costs, and maybe now I've got $40K in equity. And if I only put $20K into the house, what have I done? I've just doubled my money. Yes, it is sitting in that house, but I've created wealth. And of course, I'm going to rent the house out. That takes me back to the cash flow. So now I've got 2 ways that I've made money already on this one house: equity capture and cash flow. I put a resident into place. They start paying that mortgage for me, and I start to see my equity build up through the mortgage pay down. Why don't we buy it cash? Because I can buy more houses if I use leverage. My returns go way, way up if I do that. So we've got cash flow. We've got equity capture. That can be a very large number. If you invest in apartments, that can be a very, very large number. Equity buildup we just talked about. And finally, we've seen a lot of appreciation. Now, historically, and when I model my numbers, I'm not modeling for appreciation. That for me has always been and will continue to be icing on the cake. I talk to investors all the time that are happy to go into a negative, blows my mind, negative cash flow situation or maybe zero because they're speculating on appreciation. And I tell them, do not do that. The deal has got a cash flow. It's one of Del Walmsley's 3 rules to investing. But that aside, we've seen a tremendous amount of appreciation, and historically values do go up. And if I go back to that macro point of view, if I look at the markets right now, there is a tremendous lack of inventory on the housing market. That's going to continue. It's going to be regionally driven, submarket driven. Where you sit may be a different percentage of growth than what I see in the Dallas-Fort Worth area or in Houston where I am right now. But we continue to enjoy that appreciation as well. We're going to head into a quick break. When we come back, I want to get into that 5th and final benefit for you when you add real estate to your portfolio. So stick around.
It's not just the money, it's the lifestyle. Here's Del Walmsley.
When I go out there to buy an apartment complex for myself, I'm going to put all my money into one big, beautiful, perfect, great location property before I take and spread that out over 10 properties. On the other hand, if I'm going to invest with people I don't know, if I'm buying into passive deals, and first of all, I'd never buy into passive deals with people I don't know. If I'm buying with passive deals with people that I know to generally be good and have proven track records, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick not 10 of those people, but 5 of those people and spread my money out over 5 people. Now, why am I diversifying? Because when times get tough, I know I can count on myself to go for all of the very best resources. I can count on myself that I keep extra resources around, that I have massive rainy day funds, and I have the willingness to not be embarrassed to go ask for help in bad situations. Do I know that of every other successful person? No. A person could be successful many times in a row, then run into something they've never run into before, and not be willing to seek out help. Or, because they've been successful, have developed a structure of reserves, financial reserves, money, that's not deep enough to get them through some really difficult times.
The Lifestyles Investor Show will be right back.
Welcome back to the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. It's time to turn up the volume and fine-tune your passive income plan so you can create the lifestyle you've always wanted.
Welcome back to the show. I'm your host, Andy Webb. And if you caught the earlier part of the show, you know I'm in Houston this weekend for the Lifestyles Unlimited Wealth and Passive Income Expo. If you're listening to me live, I'm guessing you're not here. You ever saw those postcards? Wish you were here. And I wish you were here at the expo. You may be getting that FOMO, that fear of missing out now that we talked about in an earlier segment. Now, what we were just talking about in the prior segment is the 5 ways that we make money. And I want to cap that off so that we're done with that part of the discussion. These are benefits to real estate investing that have tremendously helped my family. And as much as I hate the inflation and paying $5 and some change for diesel at the pump, filling up my wife's car, it's a gas car, $3.99 is what I got last time compared to what was it not even a year ago, dollar and a half less. It's painful. It absolutely is. And that's where I'm glad that we've got that cash flow coming in from those rental properties. That's why I'm glad that we've got that equity that we've captured, because if I need to tap into that, whether it's a cash out refinance, that's an option that I have on my houses. That's an option that the investors that lead or syndicate those apartment investments we're in, that they have as well. Cash out refinance, here's your cash back. So we don't have regular cash flow in that sense, but a big pop that we can then invest and continue to grow. Our equity buildup we talked about, we put residents into place that are paying that mortgage for us. And we've enjoyed a lot of appreciation over the past decade. And appreciation, that's just a constant. And in Texas, it's fairly stable, usually 2 to 3, 4, maybe 5%, depending on the market in a normal times. But these have not been normal times. So we've enjoyed an even bigger bite of appreciation cake, as it were. The last way that we make money, it's not so much making money, but it's keeping that money that we have made, is through the tax advantages. And the tax code very much favors real estate investors. And to add a little bit of fire to that FOMO, a little bit of fuel to that FOMO fire, if you weren't in Houston, if you weren't at the Wealth and Passive Income Expo, you did miss a class, or will miss a class, called Expand Your Single Family Portfolio Using the 1031 Exchange. And the 1030, I'm not going to get into details. You can go to our website, search. There's a search bar at the bottom. If you scroll down, search for 1031, 1031 Exchange. And there are a lot of radio shows and some articles on that very topic. But it's a tax advantaged part of the code that allows us to sell a property, not take the capital gains tax hit. We defer that and roll that into the next property or properties. So here's a very concrete example of one of the classes one of the breakout sessions at the Wealth and Passive Income Expo. So if this is something you're thinking about, some people I talk to, they don't care about cash flow appreciation. They are fully focused on the tax advantages because they are high earners. Well, this is one of those places to focus then is on the tax advantages. There's the 1031 when it comes to the disposition. And of course, we pay little to no taxes on our cash flow if you're doing it right. That's a conversation you should have with your CPA or come to one of the Lifestyles Unlimited events to learn how we use depreciation, which is a paper expense, a phantom expense that the IRS lets us take to create a zero tax liability on that cash flow. In fact, I was thrilled to death to see a massive loss on the last apartment investment we got into. You're happy to see a loss? Yeah, I am. Because it's a paper loss, thanks to depreciation, accelerated depreciation, cost segregation, all things you might have heard about, depending on which breakout session you go to at the Wealth and Passive Income Expo. So if the tax advantages, again, that's not about making money, that's about keeping what you have built, keeping your wealth, keeping your cash flow in your pocket. Classes were there as well, and that's one of the benefits that is truly a benefit, and I have seen that over the years from our single-family portfolio. It gets much bigger when you get into apartments. So yeah, we took a loss. Great. It's going to offset some of our gains in other areas of our life for the prior year. So when you go and continue to throw that money down the 401k black hole, ask yourself what you're missing. Because those are 5 ways that we make money on our real estate investments. You're not doing that. You're not seeing those benefits in that 401k. In fact, if you could see me right now, I've got a fair amount of gray hair. People always say, "Ooh, you look a little grayer since last time I saw you." I point to the 5-year-old. I point to the 5-year-old. I will never point to that 401k again. That is no longer a source of that gray hair. Watching it go up and down and all that volatility. So you choose real estate. You say, all right, great. I like the sound of those benefits. You've gone to our free workshop. Again, you can register at lifestylesunlimited.com. Maybe you make it out. If you're experiencing the FOMO, the fear of missing out right now, well, make plans. 2023, come out to the Wealth and Passive Income Expo. That'll help you because you make that decision. You say, I'm going to do real estate investing. I'm going to become a real estate investor. Well, we already talked about the shiny object syndrome at a very upper level. Now you're going to start to encounter that. Or maybe another version of the FOMO, the fear of missing out, which is preventing you from deciding between our focus at Lifestyles Unlimited, which is single family and apartments, multifamily. That's it. We're not getting into those storage facilities or Airbnb or notes or land or flipping land or any of that stuff. That focus and commitment to those 2 asset classes is what helps us avoid that shiny object syndrome, avoid that FOMO, and avoid that inaction that comes with it. So again, you've decided, okay, real estate investor, now what? Well, let's say you have limited funds. Not everybody does. Your next steps, whether you choose single family or multifamily, in part come down to your starting point. How much capital do you have? How many untapped resources can you tap into? Well, that 401k is absolutely one of those. Talk to any of our successful investors, and at some point they've probably pulled some, if not all of the funds out of that 401k or IRA to take back control, to create flexibility and determine their own future. But for now, let's say you have limited funds. You're going to figure out where else you can go to get those funds. Maybe it's some of those toys. Sell those toys. You can buy them later. Saw a great multifamily case study from investors out of San Antonio that did that very thing. The wife was very focused. The husband had a lot of the toys, all the things you cruise around on out on the land, little buggies, whatever, 4-wheelers. They sold those to create that capital. Now they have since done a lot of great things in multifamily investing as syndicators, as lead investors. Now he has his toys back. But for the time being, they needed the capital. So you may have limited funds. How do you choose single family or multifamily? Well, great thing to do. And this is where, I think the FOMO may kick in. If you're not at the expo, if you didn't get down there, you've missed an opportunity to talk with, you're not going to talk to all 5,000 or however many are here, but you've missed the opportunity to talk to a lot of investors and ask them their story. And be careful, ask, it's a valid question to ask. Well, did you start with a lot of capital or not? Because we don't all start from the same point, but it's good to hear their stories and understand why they went single family or why they went multifamily. That can help you choose. And of course, if you are a member at Lifestyles Unlimited, you can leverage our mentors for that as well. First thing my wife and I did 10 years ago after we joined is sit down with one of the consultants and determine which direction, which course of action, single family or multifamily, is best for us. And Terry, back then, she was the multifamily consultant we spoke with. She asked us a raft of questions, and ultimately we determined that my wife, well, we knew this. There was no determining, hated her job, and we needed cash flow to get her out of there. So she pointed us down the single-family path, and we went down the single-family path. We didn't have a ton of capital either, so that made more sense to build that capital through the 5 ways that we make money. It's very easy to get started with that with houses. Now we've since been able to transition into apartments. You may have other goals. You may have goals around building wealth. You may be starting at a different place with more capital. So those are questions to ask, and a mentor can help you there as well. If you want to learn more about Lifestyles Unlimited and the mentoring that we do, go to lifestylesunlimited.com. Again, register for the free workshop, and keep your eyes and keep your ears open as well for announcements about the next Wealth and Passive Income Expo coming up next year. I'm still, in Houston. I'm still in the middle of it all. Haven't heard quite when, still wrapping this one up. Haven't quite heard when the next one will be. But we're sure to let you know. And boy, I've got the brochures here in front of me. There's just so much that you did miss out if you aren't here right now. And one that I really want to call out is the Lifestyles Unlimited Legacy panel. Again, I've got that 5-year-old that won't stay in bed. And eventually, we're going to start to involve him more and more in the business. And in this particular panel, that's what they did. They taught it's a family affair. And longtime Lifestyles Unlimited members' children are in the process of leaving the nest and now embarking on all the things we just talked about, building their own real estate career, enjoying those benefits that we talked about. So again, if you want to learn more about the organization, go to lifestylesunlimited.com. If you have any questions, send me an email to askandy@luinc.com.
Now more intel to build a better lifestyle from Del Walmsley.
When you are actively involved in something that is important, time flies by. So when you're trying to become successful, time is flying by. But if you understand that in theory, relativity is relative to your thinking and your brain and your feeling and the prevalence of what's going on, it doesn't mean the same thing as it's actually moving faster. Time is moving fast at all times. Even when you're wasting your life away, laying on the couch, sitting on the couch, whatever it is. And don't get me wrong, again, I don't want to sound like a hypocrite. I've spent the last 2 days, 2 hours a day or better out in the sun by my ponds, cleaning my ponds, feeding my fish, working on the yard, just enjoying the beauty that we've had here in Houston the last couple of days. It was the most incredible days I've seen in a long time. And that, to me, is being well invested. It's well invested into the things in life that are most important, right? But it's that other stuff that's not important.
Thank you for listening. It's not the money, it's the lifestyle. I hope to see you at the next expo. Stay tuned.
The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.